Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitzmonk TV here, aka G-Lauren33. I want to welcome you guys back here to the Legit Shoot podcast, here with your Smackdown review and results for April 16th, 2021. Hopefully, you guys are staying safe and healthy. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. Thank you guys for taking time out of your day to join me on the channel to talk a little bit of wrestling, right? And I'm going to just say it out of the gate, Smackdown was not a good show. It was a little bit better than Raw, but it's easy to be better than Raw because they are just so bad these days. Like, you guys saw my Monday Night Raw review, and I want to say thank you really quick to everyone who's supported the podcast and the channel this week, no matter if you guys have been a long-term subscriber or a short-term subscriber. Thank you guys for the support on the WrestleMania Night 1, WrestleMania Night 2 reviews, right? Thank you guys for the support on the Monday Night Raw review, and thank you guys for the support on this review. I also have a lot of bonus content, coming in the next couple of weeks. I just got to figure things out because my schedule is very, very busy these next couple of weeks with graduation and some other things. But like I was saying, if you guys didn't see the Raw podcast, check it out. But we talked about how that was the worst Raw after WrestleMania probably in the history, right? We've come to expect that the Raw and SmackDowns after WrestleMania are two of the biggest show of the years, because no matter what happens at WrestleMania, you're expecting big returns, you're expecting big moments, and it's almost like a calendar reset, right? WWE doesn't have no off season, but WrestleMania is WWE Super Bowl or World Series or NBA Finals or Stanley Cup, right? And after that, everything starts anew. Everything starts building all the way to WrestleMania 38. That's the way it usually is. And WrestleMania, this year, even though it was a success, it's like WWE took a step forward with WrestleMania just to take two steps backwards with how disappointing Raw and SmackDown was this week. And, there was no big returns, right? We didn't get no big Becky Lynch or Ronda Rousey, right? Or Samoa Joe, who got released this week, earlier this week, right? When WWE released, a bunch of superstars like they always do in the middle of April every single year. WWE did nothing to follow up on the momentum and the buzz that WrestleMania created. You had two historic main events with Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair and the Triple Threat Universal Championship match, and you did absolutely nothing to follow those up. Nothing. You have all these news outlets, all these posts, all these sources. Everybody's talking about WrestleMania, right? Having fans, and having these historic main events that are going to be rewatched and replayed for years to come, and you do nothing to follow it up. You do nothing to keep the excitement going. You go back to the same disappointing television you were giving us before. And even though SmackDown was just a tad bit better than Raw this week, it was a disappointment. It was a disappointment, right? There was nothing of substance that happened outside of Cesaro, right? They're setting up a Cesaro and Roman Reigns feud. And even though I'm excited for it, I'm kind of like, what does that mean? Because I don't think Cesaro is taking that title off of Roman. Roman's most likely holding that title for most, if not the rest of this year. That's what WrestleMania told me. It's going to be somebody on the level of a Rock or a John Cena or a Brock Lesnar, somebody like that, to come and take that title from Roman Reigns. Right? And even though I'm excited because this is the most they've been behind Cesaro in years for a singles run, what happens if he goes and they have him feud? He's continuing this feud with Seth Rollins, and then he eventually faces Roman, right? This happens for the next, 2 months, let's just say, right? Let's be hypothetical. 2 months, After that, what's the plan for Cesaro after that? Are you going to use him after that? Or is he just going to fall back into being one of the many baby faces that WWE has already on their roster, and he's not special, and there's nothing that separates him from the rest of the pack? The whole point of Cesaro's victory over Seth Rollins at WrestleMania was supposed to establish him into the next big babyface single star. Because this is what we've wanted for Cesaro for years and years to come. And I knew that I wanted a Cesaro and Roman Reigns match. I think we all knew that, right? But some of us was kind of hoping that they would at least take their time, because Cesaro is an actual candidate to take that title from Roman. You know, you can either have a big name, because after Roman's huge victory at Mania, you could have a big name, take the title from him, like a Brock, like a Cena, like a Rock, when either one of those superstars eventually come back. Or you can build up a smaller superstar, right, to take that title away from Roman and make a bigger star in the process. You know, you could do an underdog story with somebody like Cesaro. Even though Cesaro has the size, the stature, he doesn't have the accolades. He's never been booked like a main event superstar, which is the main reason why it's hard to see Cesaro taking that title from Roman. And it's also one of the reasons why it makes it a good story to follow. But now, you know, the way it just feels like, you know, and even though I'm excited that Cesaro is getting this push, I also feel like they're rushing it. Because really, there's nobody else for Roman to face right now. Right? I thought we were going to do a superstar shakeup coming out of WrestleMania, you know, in the first couple of weeks. And then that would shake up the rosters, give Roman some new opponents to lead into the summer. Right? I thought Drew McIntyre would get moved to SmackDown. Right? Maybe you keep Cesaro. Eventually, you could have Big E challenge Roman. You know, things like that. You know, but we haven't heard any news about a superstar shakeup. You have Drew McIntyre facing Bobby Lashley again, which I still don't understand almost a week later. And like I said, if you look at the landscape of things with WWE, I'm not that excited coming out of WrestleMania. Yeah, as good as the show WrestleMania was, I'm not excited where WWE's taking the direction of their creativity, especially when they're building towards their next pay-per-view, WrestleMania Backlash. The name alone doesn't even excite me. It's one of the worst pay-per-view names I feel like WWE's come up with in a long time. Maybe worse than Extreme Rules of the Horror Show. You know? Plus, you guys knew I was going to mention this, and I'm going to mention it every week, right? We're going to have to talk about Bianca Belair. She is the new SmackDown Women's Champion, and for months you guys told me how Bianca had to win at WrestleMania, right? You know, she had to get her big moment, and she did. I talked about it on the WrestleMania Night 1 review. I talked about it on the WrestleMania Night 2 review. I mentioned it shortly when we were talking about Rhea Ripley and the Raw Women's Championship situation on Raw. And of course, we're going to be talking about it a lot on SmackDown. And first off, before I say anything, all right, about Bianca Belair, I know a lot of you are going to be like, "Oh, Fitz, you need to change your renders now, right? You got to change your podcast renders." And I eventually will, you know, but I'm in no rush to do so because in my eyes, Sasha should still be the champion. I'm going to keep reminding you guys of that, all right, for weeks, you know. But I'll eventually change it because Bianca doesn't even have a championship render yet, all right? And we'll change Big E's to Apollo at some point, whatever. But I just don't want one of you clowns saying that in the comment section. Also, right, there's a lot of things on my mind tonight. Also, for a lot of you clowns who have been in the comment section acting toxic, usually I allow you guys to say whatever you want. I see every single comment. I may not choose to respond to every single comment because I got better things to do, but I do see every single post. Every single time you guys comment, and we will start live streaming again. We will start live streaming again in a couple weeks. All right, I gotta figure out because my schedule's messed, but we are gonna start doing live reviews again in a couple weeks. I'm saying this right now. If you act toxic in the comment section, you will be hidden. You may not be blocked, but the way YouTube describes the feature, I can hide you from the channel so you won't be able to comment. You know, there was a guy, you know, I don't want to say his name, but if you guys saw in some of the recent videos, he was acting very toxic in the comment section. I warned him, you know, you keep acting this way, you're going to be hidden. And then he went and made a fake account, or not, I don't know, he made another Google account. And I could tell just by the way he types and his bad grammar and all that, you know, it was him. So then I had to hit him a second time. Do I live so rent-free in your heads that you have to go make a fake Google account or another Google account just to comment on my videos? Like, really? Like I don't understand that. I guess I'm that popular. I don't know. I never looked at myself as a popular guy, but I guess to you guys I am, that you need to go make, you know, Google accounts, like numerous Google accounts just to comment my videos, just to think I wouldn't notice the way you write and the way you phrase your comments. Like, come on, don't act stupid. So like I said, what since we're gonna start live streaming in a couple weeks, and uh uh and since I look at everything that's said in the comment section, just don't be toxic, right? You could disagree with me. I could disagree with you. I'm here to educate you just because I know wrestling better than you. I'm not afraid to say that. But, you know, don't act toxic in the comment section, people, right? Act professional, act civil, we're here to talk wrestling. We're not here to be toxic people to one another, But in terms of the Bianca Belair situation, right? I feel like I have to keep saying this just because it goes. You guys have such short attention spans that it goes in one ear and out the other. I am a Bianca Belair fan. She's one of my favorites on the entire roster, right? It's like Sasha, it's for me. It's like Sasha, Asuka, uh, Becky, Ronda, Bailey, and then Bianca. Bianca probably should be the top five, but I'm just listing off the top of my head. Rhea was up there, but I don't like the way Rhea Ripley has been presented on Raw, and I've kind of soured on her the last couple of weeks. But I love Bianca. She's one of my favorites. She has the potential to be a huge star in that women's division for years. In my opinion, she has the chance to be a top 10, maybe even top 5 female wrestler of all time. Her legacy started getting established Sunday against Sasha Banks, right? And I don't have to talk about that. I've done enough talking about that match already, as great as it was. But I also said that I didn't think Bianca should win that title till SummerSlam because WWE did not do a good job of building Bianca up. And I will stand by it until the end of time, right? WWE did a terrible job of building Bianca up. Sure, in the last couple weeks, right, with WrestleMania and then, what they did with Montez Ford tonight on SmackDown, I didn't mind that at all. That was pretty good. But why didn't we do more of that on the road to WrestleMania? Why didn't we do more of that when Bianca was first established and first drafted to SmackDown back in the fall? Why did we wait until she became champion to do that? You guys see my point? And the thing about it is, you look at the SmackDown Women's division. I'm going to be very tough on Bianca as champion, just like I am on Rhea Ripley, because I feel like WWE rushed it. They rushed it. You see what they're doing right now. Bianca cut a really good promo, and we'll talk about Bianca's promo a little bit later. Bianca cut a really good promo on SmackDown. Plus, the championship looks good on her. I like the side plates. I like the look. She reminds me a lot of Sasha Banks as champion, right? With the way she dresses, her charisma, the way she acts. She has that natural vibe of a champion. My thing is, you look at the SmackDown landscape, right? And it's one of the reasons why I wanted Sasha to say champion until SummerSlam, right? I thought as champion, what they would do with Sasha is that they would have her go through everybody in that women's division. Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, Tamina, Natalya, Bayley, Selena Vega when she was still there, right? Chelsea Green, Carmella, all these names, all right? They were going to make Sasha a dominant champion who ran through everybody, but while she ran through everyone, she would elevate everyone in the process. So that when Bianca took the championship from Sasha at SummerSlam, like I wanted, Bianca would have a division ready to go. You look at the landscape of the SmackDown Women's division right now. Who does Bianca have to challenge her outside of Sasha and Bayley? And they've already made that clear, right? Clearly, they're building up to a rematch with Sasha, which, in my opinion, Sasha and Bianca should not be in the ring together until SummerSlam. That's a feud that should only be taking place with fans, not virtual fans, with fans. Right? And I do have my own fantasy booking, and maybe I'll do an extra video on this. We'll see. Like the video, let me know in the comment section if you guys want me to do this. How should WWE book a rematch between Sasha and Bianca? And how should they give Sasha Banks a redemption arc towards getting her first WrestleMania victory? It sucks that she's 0-6, and it also pisses me off when you clowns bring that up because it forces me to remind you that wrestling is scripted and the wrestlers have nothing to do with who wins and who loses at the end of the day. The only thing they can control is how they perform in the ring and how they're presented, right? It sucks because I don't want Sasha and Bianca even interacting until SummerSlam. I don't care if Sasha goes on vacation. I don't really care if you have Sasha feud with somebody else, right? You can do an injury angle. You can do whatever. I don't think Sasha and Bianca should be in the ring together until at least SummerSlam, if not WrestleMania next year in Dallas. But the thing about it is that's a long way away, and we don't know what's going to happen if Ronda Rousey comes back, what's going to happen when Becky comes back, right? There's a lot of factors to go into that. Plus, right now, next year's WrestleMania is looking like it's only going to be one night anyway, which I hope, they change that, because I'm sorry, nobody wants to stick and watch a 6 to 7 hour wrestling show. Nobody wants to be put through that. You can put the best card around, but nobody should be forced to sit there and watch wrestling for 6 to 7 hours. So the way it is, Bianca's only two challengers right now are Sasha and Bayley. And the thing is, it looks like, right, because Sasha, she was angry. She showed off the scar that Bianca left her when she hit her with the whip, which is still crazy to think about. And Sasha was angry about the match. So clearly Sasha's going back for the title, right? And Bayley also cut a promo how she wants to become SmackDown Women's Champion again. Bayley talked about how she was angry that she wasn't even on the WrestleMania card, which is a travesty still, right? And how, Bianca doesn't deserve to be champion to begin with, right? So clearly they're setting it up that both Sasha and Bayley are coming for Bianca for that title. I can definitely see at WrestleMania Backlash, I tweeted this out, that they may do a triple threat match between those two, which I don't have a problem with. I just don't want to see Sasha and Bianca one-on-one until we have live fans back in attendance around SummerSlam, right? At least at the minimum. And the thing about it is, you look at Sasha, look at Bayley. Bianca only has Sasha and Bayley really to contend with her for that title, which is something I was worried about, right? Sasha doesn't need a huge women's division to make that title special because she's Sasha Banks, the best female wrestler in the world. Same thing about Bianca Belair. I mean, not Bianca Belair. Same thing about Bayley. Bayley had a year-long title reign, and the SmackDown Women's division wasn't that special. But because of the storyline she was telling with Banks, it was a fantastic title reign, and it was special. Bianca is not as established as Sasha and Bianca. She's just getting started. Outside, like I said, outside of Sasha and Bayley, who is Bianca going to feud with? Because I feel like most of us would agree Bianca deserves to have a suitable title reign, especially after she beats Sasha Banks, of all people, right? She's taken over for one of the best female wrestlers of all time. So the fact that you only have two people really to contend with Bianca for that title, that's a problem. Because Bianca hasn't showed us anything. She's not done anything to show me, and I would say the majority of smart wrestling fans, that she's able to elevate a women's division. A division that consists of Tamina, Natalya, Carmella, the Riot Squad, and, Billie Kay before she got released. But you guys get what I mean. Right? That's one of the reasons why Bianca was never the NXT Women's Champion. We never got to see her with an actual division around her. We know that Sasha can carry a division. We know that Bayley can carry a division. We know that Asuka can carry a division. Right? That's one of the things I'm worried about with Rhea Ripley too. But you guys are so fast to say, oh, give them the title because they need that moment. But you don't look at anything after that it's an actual worry now. The one thing I'm worried about is they're just going to keep giving you Bianca versus Bayley, Bianca versus Sasha, and as good as those matches will be, right, that's all that they're going to have for Bianca because they have nobody else built up in that women's division. That's why I wanted Sasha to hold on to that title, because if you allowed Sasha to elevate everybody else in that division when Bianca was ready to take the title from Sasha, then it would be easier for her to have a division around her to make her title reign more successful. Right? If Bianca fails as champion, part of it's going to be because of the division around her. But part of it is also going to be because she wasn't ready. And that's what I'm afraid of with Bianca Belair. She cut a good promo on Friday. Not taking that away from her. But cutting a good promo is just one of many different things to be a successful champion. And that's what Bianca has to prove. Bianca has to prove a lot now. She got her WrestleMania victory, just like you guys wanted. But now, this is when the hard work begins. You have to be consistent. You have to be able to elevate those around you because you are the face of that women's division now. Yes, she has Sasha and Bailey there to help her. And they're going to do their job like they always do. But Bianca, as long as she's champion, she is the face of that division. And if she doesn't succeed, I'm going to be forced to sit here as a Bianca fan and say that she failed because not only was the division around her not built up properly, but because WWE rushed her push. And the fact is, if you aren't willing to admit that, then you're just a clown and you're just a casual idiot. I'm sorry to say that, but that's just the fact. Because you guys were the ones saying that Bianca had to win, but you didn't look at any of the outside factors for what would happen post her title reign. I want Bianca to have a successful title reign, but I am concerned, and I'm going to continue to bring up this concern every single week. It may not be too major now, because right now she's going to be feuding with Bailey and Sasha. But when she's not feuding with Bailey and Sasha, right? And when she has no division around her and she's forced to pick up that division by herself, that's when we're going to know if Bianca was truly ready to take that title from Sasha at WrestleMania 37. So get ready, guys. Hold your horses. The roller coaster is about to begin. The roller coaster of Bianca's title reign has started. All right? Everything might be good right now because she's feuding with Bailey and Sasha. But when she's not feuding with them, that's when we're going to know truly who Bianca Belair truly is. And as a fan, I hope she succeeds. But I have concern and worry, especially knowing WWE Creative, that it's going to be more difficult for her. Let's just leave it at that. I hope she succeeds, but I am definitely concerned. All right, now that I got those, that was kind of a long opening shoot, but like I said, not much happened on SmackDown anyway. So those are the two big things to really talk about, Roman and Cesaro and Bianca as the new SmackDown Women's Champion. So other than that, really, what else is there for us to talk about? So you guys really can't get mad at me for going that long with the opening shoot. But let's get into SmackDown tonight, right? Oh yeah, one other thing. Pat McAfee. He is incredible. So supposedly there was like a behind the scenes video of him on SmackDown with Michael Cole. And Michael was asking him, did you make any preparation for the show? I haven't seen you all day, right? And McAfee was like, I'm just ready for SmackDown. I'm here to have a good time and all this other stuff. Pat McAfee is a breath of fresh air for SmackDown's commentating team. It's a breath of fresh air. Sure, you can say, you'll miss Corey Graves. Corey Graves was pretty good at his job. And I'm happy that he's on Raw because Byron Saxton's a clown. And I don't know the name of that other guy. Based off the reports, that was his first night on the job, and he's never commentated for wrestling. So clearly it's going to take him a while to get used to commentating on Monday Night Raw. But it's also kind of like, why did you fire Samoa Joe then? Why did you fire Samoa Joe? If you knew he wasn't ready, then you could have just kept Samoa Joe there until you felt like he was more ready to be on the commentating team. Because Raw's commentating team outside of Corey Graves is absolutely ass. You thought it was bad before when it was Tom Phillips and Byron Saxton. Joe was the good guy. But, now Corey Graves is the good guy on Raw. And Byron Saxton, that other guy, both of them are just clowns. Raw's commentating team is horrific, right? At least SmackDown's team, Michael Cole, I heard he botched a lot on WrestleMania. But, Michael Cole, he's a respectable commentator. He's been there for a long time. He knows how to do his job, right? He's not JR, but, Michael Cole, I don't have any problems with him. He knows how to call matches, right? Pat McAfee, last night, he was the best part of that show. His fresh thoughts, his fresh analysis, right? His charisma, his personality, just listening to him, man. I loved how, in between matches, he would be standing up while commentating. I like that. I like when WWE allows people to be themselves. I wish they would allow that more with their superstars, because too many times they come off as too scripted, too political, and it just makes the show worse. If WWE allows Pat McAfee to be himself and they don't script him too much, right, he's going to be a joy to listen to with Michael Cole on Fridays. right? Last night, the commentating was great. I love the way Pat McAfee sounded. And who knows, eventually you can use Pat McAfee because the guy can actually wrestle a little bit. You know, he's not the best wrestler in the world or anything like that, but you saw what he was able to do with Adam Cole in their NXT matches and what he did in the War Games match against the Undisputed Era. Pat McAfee can wrestle. So I'm very excited for Pat McAfee on SmackDown. He sounded great. I tweeted this out, he's already my favorite commentator on the main roster, man. You know, I also read a report that Mauro Ranallo, he's going to be commentating an Impact match with, what was it, Kenny Omega and I think Rick Swan. It's just like, you know, it disappoints me. WWE should have never let Mauro go. This Mauro would be perfect on Monday Night Raw. Perfect. Man, a commentating team of Mauro, Samoa Joe, and Corey Graves, take my money. They should. I wish Mauro never was let go, and they actually gave him the respect that he deserves, man. But either way, you know, I would say the one good thing that came out of SmackDown last night was Pat McAfee and the breath of fresh air he gives to commentating on WWE TV, man. Like, for real. If it was up to me, I don't know. I wouldn't even mind if you wanted to bring Corey Graves back to SmackDown and you want to put McAfee on Raw, right, and have him replace Byron Saxton. I wouldn't mind that. The only thing is then you would have to find a third guy. But still, you know, I'm excited for Pat McAfee on SmackDown. And, you know, hopefully over time he's just going to get better and better with more experience. But he's a natural commentator, man. He's natural at what he does. And I'm excited to see, you know, how he grows as a commentator on SmackDown. But easily, man, very, very good stuff from him. But let's actually get into SmackDown now. So, how do you guys think SmackDown started off this week? Yes. Well, at least it made sense in this regard. You know, Roman Reigns, right? He's been outside of Sasha Bianca. He was easily the most talked about thing come out of WrestleMania, the head of the table. I'll say this again for people who didn't see my Night 2 review. Roman Reigns' victory at WrestleMania 37 was the biggest victory in his career. Bigger than his victory over Undertaker, bigger than his victory over Triple H, right? Bigger than anything he's done so far. This will go down as the biggest victory in Roman Reigns' career. You know, if he eventually maybe beats The Rock at a WrestleMania in the future, all right, then we have something else to talk about. But that moment solidified Roman Reigns as the best heel and the face of WWE. Truly. Truly did. You know, I'm very happy for Roman Reigns. Right? And like I said, I've been sitting here on this podcast for years saying how Roman should have always been heel. And I'm just happy that they finally did it. You know, imagine Roman was heel all those years ago. But, you know, people have been reminding me that it took Roman being babyface and everything that happened to eventually get Roman to where he is now, which is true. But it is, you got to look back. Roman had a long babyface history. It was like 5 years of nonsense. So I get it. But anyway, you know, Roman's victory was humongous. He's on one of the best heel runs of all time. His title reign is amazing, and it's gonna take something huge for, you know, for the majority of people to agree that Roman needs to lose that title, right? I already talked about that a little bit at the beginning. So Roman came out, you know, his entrance was, let's just say, longer than usual, right? You guys know I get annoyed at Roman's entrance, right? His entrance was long at Mania, and he decided to double down on it tonight. And I'll give it to him. You know, he had every right to be arrogant and cocky, especially with the way he was feeling after he achieved WrestleMania victory. So, basically, the first thing Heyman actually started out the promo. Heyman talked about Daniel Bryan and Edge's Hall of Fame credentials, right? Because he really wanted to stress, you know, how big Roman's victory was. How he legit stacked. He stacked two Hall of Famers, one on top of the other, right? And you know, Roman said, you know, I'm not a liar, right? I told you guys what I was going to do. I'm going to stack them. I love when he says I'm going to stack them, right? Because he stacked them, you know, stacked them one on top of the other. And the thing is, that's one of the most disrespect. How many times in, I'm not going to just say WWE, but in wrestling, do you see a superstar get stacked, like blocks stacked on top of each other for a pin. You never see it. You rarely see it. So Roman said, "I did exactly what I was gonna do, and now you must acknowledge me." Right? He has a new shirt called "Acknowledge Me." I know everyone's gonna be wanting to get that bad boy, but he said that no one wants to fight him because of what he does to Hall of Famers. He said he humbles them, and no one wants any part of that. So basically, Roman said, Roman's over here saying, all right, no one wants to face me after I beat and embarrassed and stacked two Hall of Famers, one on top of the other. Nobody wants any part of that. And I was like, damn, like Roman out here spitting facts. So Roman's saying, nobody in that locker room's going to face me. So we did our duty, right? We came out, we started the show, my show. Now it's time to cut the check, fire up the jet, and get out of here, right? So Heyman takes the mics, throws them, and that's that. But as they were leaving, Cesaro made his way to the ring. No big surprise here. I kind of expected that because, like I said, who else, unless they do a shakeup, who else really could face Roman right now? I did think maybe Shinsuke Nakamura. I actually want to see that. We've never seen a Shinsuke and Roman feud. I feel like the clash of those two styles, right, would be really cool to see, Like Shinsuke's more of an upgraded Daniel Bryan style, but either way, maybe we'll see that in the future, especially now that Nakamura's a babyface. But actually, if they wanted to, they could do that now that I think of it. Because Rollins attacked Cesaro, basically stating that, Rollins isn't done with Cesaro. Their feud's not over yet. And since, Cesaro and Nakamura, they were partners and they're still on good terms, maybe Nakamura takes Cesaro's spot against Roman until Cesaro's ready and finished with his business with Rollins. I don't know, but if WWE wants to, because you need challenges for Roman, especially if you actually plan on him holding that title for most of the rest of the year. But, Cesaro came out, right? He had his suit was a little oversized. I don't know, man. I think if I'm Cesaro, to stick to the skinny suits, right? The suit he was wearing this week was oversized. But Cesaro comes to the ring, all right? Before he could even say anything on the mic, Roman, Jey Uso, and Heyman exited, so they refused to acknowledge Cesaro basically as a threat to the title. So Roman with the disrespect, but you can't blame. It's an easy way to get heat on Roman, of course, but can you blame Roman? His confidence is on a whole nother level right now. He just beat two Hall of Famers and stacked them in the main event of WrestleMania. So you really can't blame him at all, right? The one thing that really annoyed me, though, and was one of the reasons why I couldn't stand SmackDown tonight, they kept replaying the Cesaro airplane spot, the UFO spot, whatever you want to call it, right? The spot clearly when Cesaro had Rollins on his shoulders and he was spinning him with no hands, and it's an amazing spot, right? Rollins has to do a lot for that spot to work, but most of that is just pure power on Cesaro, right? I'm willing to bet probably John Cena could do that if he wanted to, but either way, it's a super impressive spot. But they showed it every single segment tonight on SmackDown. Every single segment. And I'm not kidding when I said it. They showed it after every single match, every single segment, every single interview. And it was annoying. It showed you that WWE had nothing planned. Because if they showcase the same, if you show it like 2 or 3 times, that's one thing. If you showcase it 10 to 15 times on one show, that just shows that you're lazy and uncreative. It's an impressive spot, but it's not going to be seen as that special anymore when you keep showing it to us over and over and over again. Right? Like there was no need for them to replay the spot 15 times. They were clearly doing it to fill in time. Because every time they did it, it would take about 25 to 30 seconds. So it's just like, really? That's what we're doing here? That's what we're doing here? Really? and it was annoying. It was annoying. They kept having Michael Cole say, listen to Cesaro, listen to Rollins, listen to the crowd here. Like trying to give it to you from every angle, every different angle, kind of as an excuse to keep replaying it. But it was just like, there's no need for this. There was no need for this. So I did not like that at all on the show. Paul Heyman backstage cut a really good promo after the break of why Cesaro doesn't deserve to face Roman Reigns. But he did say that later in the night, Cesaro could prove himself against Jey Uso, the head of the table's right-hand man. And I knew they were going to do that because every person, no matter if it's KO or Daniel Bryan, right, or Drew McIntyre, it doesn't matter, or Edge, they always have to go through Jey Uso. And as great as Jey Uso is, and as great as a single star he has become, it's annoying. It's done. I really need Jimmy Uso to come back. Really need him to come back because I need the Usos as SmackDown Tag Team Champions. That's what I need. Enough of this main event Uso stuff. I'm not saying Jey Uso doesn't deserve it. It's just it's repetitive because they do it with every single guy Roman faces. Every single one. It's the same thing. Oh, you got to get through Jey Uso to get to the head of the table. And as great as Roman is, it's just repetitive at this point. And I'm not interested in seeing that anymore. So Cesaro said that he was up for the challenge and he was going to prove to Roman that he was worthy of being a challenger to his Universal Championship by taking out Jey Uso tonight. And then Jey basically said the same promo he always does. Like, tonight you're going against the right-hand man and tonight you're about to get Uso. So that was the setup for tonight's main event. From then, this is where people started tuning out for sure, right? They started doing pointless rematches. All right. Rey Mysterio versus Otis. This is a match we've already seen on SmackDown numerous times in the last couple weeks, right? They did have that really good Fatal 4-Way tag team match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. And I'm going to be honest, why wasn't that match on WrestleMania? I feel like that would have been a huge boost, especially tonight too, right? Let's just say, I don't know, you moved the Women's Tag Team Championship match to night 1 and take out the Tag Team Turmoil match, right? And then you put in that SmackDown Tag Team Championship match on night 2. I feel like, that would have even enhanced WrestleMania 37 a little bit more. It wouldn't have, done a huge thing, but that Fatal 4-Way match last week was really good, if you ask me. It was definitely better than the Women's Tag Team Championship match and the Raw Tag Team Championship match when you think about it from WrestleMania 37. It was the best tag title match of the weekend for WWE. So I don't know why they did have that match on the show, but still, it doesn't, neglect the fact that we've seen this match numerous times over the last couple weeks. Numerous times, and there was nothing special about this. All right, Otis, they showed a video package of Otis and how dominant he's been since his heel turn with, his lines with Chad Gable. I'm kind of surprised Chad Gable's still there. I'm actually kind of surprised Gable wasn't released, right? Because I know Gable's contract is expiring, and I know that especially the Revival, they wanted Gable in AEW. Now, I don't know how much of a difference Gable would do in AEW, because let's be serious, how much of a difference for most of these WWE superstars, do in AEW, right? I'm kind of over the whole AEW thing, to be honest. But either way, they cut this promo, or they showed this video package of Otis, of how dominant he's been, and then they give us a match that no one cares about. Like I said, we've seen this match over the last couple weeks, and nothing that they've done before would excite you to watch this match again, right? Otis took advantage from the beginning, showing off his power and his aggressiveness, right? But Mysterio came back, hit him with a running knee. Then he dropped the 619. I loved Pat McAfee on commentary. He said, "Oh, I've never got to call this live before. I'm so excited." And then Mysterio hits the 619, and McAfee's excitement on commentary was amazing. I loved it. So then Mysterio went for the top rope splash, but Otis caught him. But Mysterio shifted his weight, forced a roll up, and got the win. So that was that. Who cares? Right? who cares? Nothing special here. Next up, we had Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn in a rematch of WrestleMania. So it looks like this feud's going to be continuing. It's not like they don't really have anything else for these guys. I did hear a rumor that WWE is planning potentially on maybe having the Paul brothers. First of all, I don't care about the Paul brothers, especially I hate Jake Paul. I think the guy's arrogant clown. But you know, I was so happy when KO stunned Logan at Mania. Because I called it from the beginning of the match. I'm just like, if KO doesn't stun Logan Paul, this whole thing's a waste of time. But I've heard a rumor that WWE wants to do Logan Paul and Jake Paul versus KO and Sami Zayn. So most likely you would have to turn Sami Zayn babyface, which I'm not against. But it's also that Sami Zayn is amazing as a heel. So Sami Zayn came to the ring and he went on about conspiracy theories and excuses for his loss at WrestleMania, mainly putting the blame at Logan Paul, who was supposed to be his guest of honor, and that Logan got corrupted by the WWE system, right? And he said that he would not be denied his vindication and demanded a match with Kevin Owens. Also, I noticed that Sami didn't have the camera crew with him, so I guess they're wrapping up this whole conspiracy documentary storyline, right? So we'll just see. Maybe they'll bring it back in a couple weeks, but it looks like for now they're taking a break from it. They're wrapping things up. So then he called out Kevin Owens, and he said there's no one to provide a distraction, no way for you to steal and win. And then KO made his way. So, of course, these two, we know how good KO and Sami Zayn fight forever, right? We've been saying that for years. This was pretty good. It wasn't, as good as their match at WrestleMania, right? Which, in my opinion, was one of the top 5 matches of that entire weekend and should have got more time. The fact that the Women's Championship match got more time than KO and Sami Zayn is disappointing to me. But, still, this was good between KO and Zayn. What else do you want us to say? What was it? KO sent Zayn bouncing off the top rope for the release front suplex, right? Then they fought to the top rope. Zayn stunned his former friend and did a amazing sunset flip powerbomb for a near fall. Came back for commercial. Owens put Zayn on the ground, hit a swanton bomb. Zayn then tried to bail out of the ring, but Owens brought him back in and delivered a fisherman neckbreaker across the knee for 2. Zayn evaded the stunner and raked Owens' eyes. Zayn escaped up the ramp, gladly losing but via countout. Then Owens rushed the ramp, clearly not done with Zayn, right? He brought Zayn back to the ring and delivered a stunner to put an exclamation point on it. So there you have it. I don't know what the plan here going forward is for KO, but I will say I want KO fighting for championships again. Clearly, you're not going to do KO versus Roman Reigns, right? I think KO should be built up to be the one to take the IC title from Apollo Crews. I think that's what you need to do. KO as a babyface is amazing. I feel like he's underrated. I feel like he's underappreciated. But in my opinion, he's one of the best babyfaces in that company. And it's time that we get some gold back on that guy. It's been too long since I've seen KO with a championship on his shoulder. He doesn't wear it around the waist. He holds it on his shoulder. I prefer wearing championships on my shoulder. All right? But I think it's time that we get KO back in the championship scene, right? What I would do if I was WWE, right? If you want to do this Roman and Cesaro feud, and however you want to do it, you have Roman versus Cesaro, or then you could do Nakamura versus Roman. I don't care, and we know we have Rollins. There's a lot of ways that things could go between those men. But then what you could do after that is what I would do. I would have, because remember, Big E is also key here. I've been saying for weeks that Big E should be in the main event scene, right? He never really needed the IC championship. Big E is a main event guy. I feel like he needs to take those steps now, right? Apollo Crews is a new Intercontinental Champion, right? Apollo actually cut a pretty good promo, talking about how he would give Big E a rematch tonight, but that Big E was not there. and that his new associate, formerly known as Dabakato, now his name is called Commander Ease. Uh, basically Cruz basically said that anybody that wanted to get to his Intercontinental Championship would have to go through Commander Ease, right? So those two are now partnered together. Cruz also said that the move formerly known as the Samoan Spike used by Ease is now called the Nigerian Nail. So I kind of like how they put some emphasis on that, making things clear about that move. But either way, what I would do is, clearly they're gonna do a rematch with Big E and Apollo. Maybe they'll do it at WrestleMania Backlash. I don't know. But clearly now that, Apollo has Commander Ease, on his side, I don't think Big E's regaining that IC title. Nor should he. Right? Nor should he. I love Big E. It's time for him to go up to the main event scene. That's where he belongs. Right? A Big E versus Seth Rollins feud. I would love to do that. I'm thinking of how you should book SmackDown up to SummerSlam. What you should do, honestly, you could do you could have Big E wrap things up with Apollo, right? Apollo finishes the feud out with Big E, and he moves on. Then you have KO built up to take that title from Apollo Crews. I would love to see an Apollo KO feud. I feel like that would be really, really cool. You have Big E move on to the main event scene. Once Cesaro finally finishes things off with Seth Rollins, I would have Big E be the next one in line to feud with Seth Rollins, right? And then eventually, Big E could be the one to go up against Roman Reigns and maybe even take the Universal Championship from Roman, right? You have options. You have Nakamura, you have Rollins, you have Cesaro, you have Big E, you have Roman Reigns. That's a pretty good main event scene. Plus, you never know what's going to happen once Daniel Bryan and Edge get back in the mix, And I like that Daniel Bryan and Edge did not show up on the show tonight because they should be selling those injuries. They should be. Roman hit them with concertos, So come on, there's no business, especially with those two and their injury history. It makes sense for them not to be on the show for a couple weeks. Plus I think what Bryan and Edge are gonna be doing next. I think Daniel Bryan and Edge are probably gonna face off at WrestleMania Backlash because they still have some unresolved, business. Especially with the way how Edge never wanted Bryan in that match to begin with. So maybe Edge comes and blames Daniel Bryan for him losing at WrestleMania. They could clearly a one-on-one between Daniel Bryan and Edge would be phenomenal for WrestleMania Backlash. Phenomenal. So Roman versus Cesaro, if that's what we get, I don't know. It's going to depend on what happens with Seth Rollins. So Roman versus Cesaro, Bryan versus Edge, Big E versus Apollo, and maybe the triple threat with Bianca, Sasha, and Bayley. SmackDown's looking pretty good for WrestleMania Backlash, even though, like I said earlier, SmackDown wasn't really a good show last night. So you guys can see, I can sit on here and book this show better than the people who get paid writing the show. This is why you listen to this podcast, right? This is why you listen to this podcast, people. I was going to play Bianca's promo from SmackDown, but I'm gonna assume most of you guys have already watched it. Basically, the Street Profits. I did like how Montez Ford really introduced his wife. It made the moment feel more organic because the emotion that he put into it was really enjoyable. Really enjoyable, man. He was really excited for his wife. And even though he didn't get to compete at WrestleMania, seeing her win, it was kind of like he got to win too. And I was happy to see Montez Ford so excited to, introduce his wife out. Bianca, she gave a short promo, but it was a good promo. She thanked Sasha for the magic that they created at WrestleMania. She also talked about how she wants to be a symbol for all the little girls all across the world as champion, and how hard you work does when you do work hard, the results do pay off in the long run. So I like Bianca's promo. It was perfect, it was short, it was sweet, and it did its job. But like I said earlier in the opening shoot, now the pressure's on Bianca. And instead of playing Bianca's promo from last night, I actually have Bianca's promo from Talking Smack. I haven't even heard this yet, right? So the title says Bianca has her sights on the WWE's 4 Horsewomen. Sasha and Bayley are on SmackDown. Could that also be a tease for potentially Becky Lynch? And I know a lot of people want to see Bianca versus Charlotte too. So we'll see. But let's play Bianca's promo from Talking Smack real quick. I haven't heard it yet, so let's listen.
I learned this from you last time I was on Talking Smack. Every single day is your audition. You're proving yourself every single day. You should never stop. And I never want to stop proving myself as SmackDown Miss Champion. I want Sasha Banks to get a rematch right away to solidify the fact that I am the EST of WWE. That this was not a fluke. This was not luck.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there. I like that. Even though I don't want Sasha and Bianca interacting with one another until SummerSlam or WrestleMania next year, I do like how Bianca has that confidence, like, I can beat Sasha again. I want to prove that this was not a fluke, right? It wasn't just a one night lucky, win against one of the best ever to do it. That I actually belong here at the top of this division. Like I said, the title looks good on Bianca. Bianca reminds me a lot like Sasha Banks. A lot.
This was supposed to happen at WrestleMania.
Yes, well, you are champion, so you're a very smart woman. The target is on your back. So, besides Sasha wanting to come back and get her gold, there's going to be plenty of other women who also want that opportunity. But for you personally as a champion, if you could choose fantasy booking, let's say that, is there another woman that you want to check off your list of saying, I defeated her?
Well, I would love to, I heard Bailey talking tonight. She always has something to say, but so we can go back around to that. But I will also say this. I have pinned Bailey. I have pinned Sasha Banks. And I would love to be the new era of women's wrestling that comes in and go for the other two horsewomen eventually. I would love to eventually pin all four horsewomen and be at the forefront of the new generation of women's wrestling, maybe. That sounds pretty tempting to me.
I could keep
What's she say?
Maybe. That sounds all four horsewomen and be at the forefront of the new generation of women's wrestling, maybe. That sounds pretty tempting to me.
Okay. Like I said, Bianca and Rhea Ripley do represent the new generation, but the way they've already fucked up on Rhea Ripley, I already talked about this on the Monday Night Raw review. They've already messed up on Rhea Ripley because Charlotte's taking that title for Rhea Ripley. First chance she gets. They might not do that with Sasha and Bailey. That might come at SummerSlam or WrestleMania next year, or depending on what happens with Money in the Bank, because we have to start considering that, because Money in the Bank does happen in June. But, still, I do like what Bianca's saying here. She's saying the right things. Bianca is going to be that next face of the new generation, right? Right now, we're still in the four horsewomen, Asuka, Ronda Rousey generation, right? But Bianca is making that claim, and she is going to be that person to be the next face of the women's division, right? For years and years to come. I do agree. So I like what Bianca's saying here. I just feel like they rushed her push. That's my thing.
Me.
I could keep going, but Paul is being very polite, and I know prior he did say he had a couple of things that he wanted to say to you.
It's not polite, it's respect. And it's admiration.
I'm gonna skip that. I don't want to. Heyman does this to everybody. Like before he says something, he just praises them about anything, their accolades, their strength, their skill set, their characteristics. Like we're not here to listen to that. I love Heyman, but no, we're live. Come on.
Every single day as you have onus to backlash in history that no one can ever deny, male or female.
I'm not trying to skip through this. I didn't watch this before.
Pointed out.
Yep.
Because you have everything that her right now, and she has a grievance with you because you got a target on your back now.
Okay, let's see this. Target.
Sasha Banks.
Yep.
That child will not let go of a grievance, and she has a grievance with you because you have everything that her life revolved around. Imagine what you would do to someone that right now pried that away from you and your life. Look at the anger that's coming over your face just at the mere thought of it. That's what's going through Sasha Banks' mind.
I'll say this, like Heyman's spitting facts. And the one thing that I hope he mentions here, there's about 1 minute left in the video, Sasha is also mad about that scar. Bianca said in her promo on SmackDown, I left you something to remember me by. You think Sasha's not going to be pissed about that? You think you saw the anger on Sasha's face. I loved it. Sasha didn't have to say anything. You just had to look at her facial expressions, her body language. She was angry. She felt like She as happy as she was to make that moment with Bianca, she's angry at how she lost. She got whipped. Bianca whipped her at WrestleMania in front of the world, and now she has a scar to prove it. Sasha's not only gonna want to take back that championship, but as the legit boss, she's gonna want to take back that championship with interest. With interest. And she's also going to want to leave Bianca with a scar to remember her by. Remember that, because that's going to be part of the story going forward. So I love how Heyman's framing this all up. Even though Heyman can talk for a long-ass time, I do like the way how he's framing it up, how Sasha and Bayley are going to come at Bianca with everything they got. Everything. All right, excuse my voice, but
24/7 at this very moment. But it's not just Sasha. It's Natalya. It's Tamina. It's Shayna, it's Nia, it's Bayley, it's every single member of the roster. Everyone on Raw is now saying, I wonder if I get over to SmackDown, challenge Bianca for that title, because Bianca was victorious in a WrestleMania main event. This is your time. It could be short time, it could be for all time. You're the EST. Understand what you're up against. Defy the odds. Beat your own expectations. Have a better tomorrow than you did today, and have a better 2 days from now than you do tomorrow. And when you come back here, come back every bit more the legend that you're destined to be.
And there we go. That was it. But I gotta give Heyman credit. Even though he's kind of like me, I can go on and ramble for hours to make my point. But he did a great job. Bianca is in the beginning stages of establishing her legacy. But just because she won at WrestleMania, she can't look backwards now. She has Sasha Banks and Bayley coming after her. She has a whole entire division of people coming after her. And I'm still very, very concerned about Bianca's push being so rushed. But I know Bianca's great, and I'm rooting for her. I'm rooting for her because I actually really do like Bianca. I just thought that they should have saved that moment for SummerSlam. That's my only thing. All right? And I know I sound like a broken record. I just have to keep repeating it for the clowns in the back who don't understand what I am saying. All right? I'm very, very happy for Bianca, man. But the pressure's on now. When you're not facing Sasha or Bayley or Asuka or, Becky or Charlotte, whenever Becky comes back, right? When you're not facing those 5 women, that's when Bianca's legacy is truly going to be established. What do you do when you're not facing the best women's wrestlers on the roster? What are you going to do when you have those pay-per-view matches against a Carmella, against a Natalya, against a Shayna Baszler? What are you going to do in those types of matches? Are you going to elevate yourself? Are you going to elevate the title? Are you going to elevate the division? Or are you going to send us all back to reality thinking like, oh, Bianca's not able to do that? I don't want to say that. I think Bianca's great. She is destined for greatness. And she proved that at WrestleMania. She is destined for greatness. But the pressure is on. And I am not going to be easy on her. She cut a good promo on Talking Smack. She cut a good promo on SmackDown. But there is a lot more that needs to be done. And we'll see. We'll see what happens here. I'm rooting for her, man. But like I said, if Bianca does not succeed as SmackDown Women's Champion, you will hear it from me first. It's not me being biased. It's just me being honest as a wrestling fan. All right? Because once Bianca does establish her legacy and she gets to the level of a Sasha Banks and the rest of the 4 horsewomen, she doesn't have to worry about all that other stuff. It's the fact that Bianca was pushed into this spot now and she's just starting her legacy. She doesn't have an NXT Women's Championship reign to back her up. She doesn't have a bunch of matches like the 4 horsewomen did in NXT, like Asuka did with her record-breaking NXT Championship reign. She doesn't have any of that to back up. This is the start of Bianca's legacy. WrestleMania was the start of her legacy, right? Those 4 horsewomen and Asuka, they already had legacies before they were on the main roster. So that's what I mean when I talk about Bianca's pressure starts now. Because if she doesn't succeed, people are going to notice it. And people are going to talk. And I'm going to have to talk about it on this podcast. And I want her to succeed. I don't want everything that they've done with Bianca, from her winning the Rumble to beating Sasha Banks, for all of this to be a waste. I don't think it's going to be a waste. But if it is, I'm going to have to be forced to sit up here and say, I told you so. All right? I told you so. And I don't want to do that. That's all I just want to remind you guys. We spent a lot of time talking about Bianca tonight on the podcast. But like I said, Cesaro and Bianca, those are the two big things we needed to talk about tonight with the podcast. But anyway, moving on, we had the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match with the Street Profits versus Rude and Ziggler. This was a good match. It wasn't bad, but it was a good match. I don't understand what they're doing with the Street Profits, really. I pitched that the Street Profits should not be losing the tag team titles until the Usos came back. Rude and Ziggler are a great team. I don't mind them as champions. It's just I don't know what the direction really is for the Street Profits. You had them lose in the Fatal 4-Way. They lost tonight in their actual rematch. Technically, this was their rematch that they were built up for 3 weeks for. So technically now, right, they go back to the back of the line. Now they have to be built back up to get another match for the tag titles, right? So I don't know what's going on with the Street Profits, but this was a good match. So near the end, Dawkins flattens Rude. Ford hit the frog splash, but I just had a feel in the back of my mind that Ziggler was gonna come in and make the save, and he did. Then Ziggler did a blind tag and dropped Ford with a zigzag while Ford was focused on Rude, and they got the pinfall victory and the successful title defense. So I don't know. Maybe they're building up for the Mysterios. You have the Mysterios. Rey Mysterio beat Otis last week, so maybe they want to do the Mysterios versus Rude and Ziggler. Maybe, and they're just taking a break from the Street Profits for now. I don't have a problem with that. Like I said, what I need the damn Usos back. That's what I need. I don't know. It's almost May. Where in the world is Jimmy Uso? They said he was supposed to come back shortly after the Rumble. It's past WrestleMania now. I need my Usos back. I want my Uso Street Profits feud, right? I wanted it for WrestleMania. I didn't get it, all right? So, SummerSlam, right? Can you give it to me at SummerSlam? Can I get the Usos and the Street Profits for SummerSlam, please? Can we write that? Can we write that down now? Come on. That's what I want. All right, but anyway, after that, we'll see what happens with the SmackDown Tag Team Division. At least there is somewhat of a Tag Team Division on SmackDown. SmackDown has a little bit of a Tag Team Division. Outside of Raw, there's nobody there. Nobody. AJ and Almas weren't even on Raw, and they're the new Raw Tag Team Champions. What the hell is up with that? But next up, this was a waste of time. We had Natalya versus Shayna Baszler. This match lasted 2 minutes. It was bad. It was garbage. Natalya rolled up Shayna Baszler for the pinfall victory. And then after the match, Tamina rocked Nia Jax with a super kick. And that's it. Don't care. Whatever. We saw the match at WrestleMania. And the match isn't going to get anything better than that. So I just don't have any care for this feud. Anything for it. I don't really have any care for the women's tag team division right now, because you really don't have any teams for me to get invested in, because you refuse to push the Riot Squad. So, excuse me, not gonna waste any of my time on that. This match was 2 minutes. It was a waste of time. All right, and last but not least, we had Cesaro versus Jey Uso. Right, the match was hitting its stride until near the end. Seth Rollins made his appearance because Cesaro was about to deliver the swing, and Michael Cole said it really well on commentary. Rollins was having bad memories. All of a sudden, Seth Rollins shows up, right, and he leaves Cesaro laying. And then at the top of the ramp, he was screaming, and I love the intensity with Rollins here. Rollins is like, nothing is settled between them, because this ends when I say so. I am the end-all, be-all of this industry. So I love delusional Rollins. I kind of like this. It's good that it looks like Rollins is getting away from that whole Vision Messiah crap. he was doing. I like this version more of heel Rollins, with the dress, because, some weeks he looks good. Some weeks his outfits are just like, what the hell are you wearing, bro? But he looked good tonight. And I kind of like, this kind of delusional Rollins. It's different from the Messiah Rollins, which just got played out, But, I like what they did here. Clearly, Rollins and Cesaro are not done. We'll see what that means with Roman, right? We'll see what that means for Roman. Roman may not even have to, defend his title at Backlash. And honestly, I wouldn't mind it. After that dominant victory over Edge and Daniel Bryan, would you really be against Roman not defending at Backlash? No. Maybe we don't see Roman defend again until Money in the Bank. I really wouldn't have a problem with it. But we'll see. We'll see. There's many ways for the storyline to go. You can get Nakamura involved. You could reunite Rollins and Reigns. There's a lot of ways for this story to go. So I am intrigued to see what happens here with Cesaro, Nakamura, Rollins, Jey Uso, and Roman Reigns. All this with the Universal Championship being in the middle. But other than that, like I said, SmackDown was pretty disappointing tonight. It wasn't a good show. I was able to try to make sense of things. I did give you guys a format of how WWE could do things going forward, especially with both the women's division and the Universal title, So I hope you guys enjoyed me trying to give you a lot of analysis and followed out of that. The show itself wasn't good, but at least there's a path for where SmackDown could be going. With Raw, I don't see any path. The only path I see is the robot Charlotte becoming champion again, right? And I'm very concerned of what could happen with Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania Backlash. At least with SmackDown, there's more of a path, there's options, and that gets you excited, right? Even if SmackDown wasn't a good show last night, still, I'm more excited for SmackDown's future, okay? But either way, that's about all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys so very much for joining me on the podcast. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you guys are new. Hit the bell next to my name, Fitzmonk TV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Check out all the other reviews if you guys missed them. The WrestleMania Night 1, the WrestleMania Night 2 reviews. Go check out the Monday Night Raw review. Plus, I'll have so much more content for you guys coming out in the next couple of weeks. So make sure you guys are subscribed and you guys have notifications enabled for that. Thank you to everyone who live tweeted with me this week with all the WWE stuff. My link is in the description down below. I also did a bonus video, give you guys my thoughts on what was going on with Samoa Joe and the big releases this week. So make sure to check that out. Like I said, tons of content and more to come. But thank you guys for the love and support. I'll see you guys later, man. Stay safe and healthy. Peace.